Welcome back. They're young and they're reckless. Middle-class teens who turn their pursuit of attention and material possessions to turning a profit by turning tricks. And now they're the subject of a disturbing new book and documentary by Charlene Azam called Oral Sex is the New Goodnight Kiss. We warn you, the clip you're about to see is disturbing and parents are strongly cautioned.
Oral sex to me really isn't that big of a deal.
We know that it happens on school property, the oral sex. We know it happens in hallways, whether it's inside the school or outside of the school. We also know the youngest age that we are aware that it has happened is 9 years.
Scary stuff. Author and filmmaker Charlene Azam joins us now from Los Angeles. Charlene, this was a film you made in Canada about our Canadian suburbs. How widespread is this emerging phenomena of teenage prostitution rings in affluent Canadian suburbs?
The problem is we know very little about this subject. You know, the police know about it, social workers know about it, counselors know about it, parents, some of them know a little bit about it, but it's almost a problem that you hear about after it's discovered or after it's revealed.
And we only hear about it after the police bust. How did you become aware of it?
I was at a high school and talking to kids about media images and sexuality, and the principal of that school asked me to talk to the kids in the Flex program. And the Flex program children are typically out of school for a month or a couple of months, and this is their way of reintegrating back into the community, back into school life. And there was one very pretty blonde girl, perfect makeup, little Louis Vuitton bag, who seemed out of place. And so I asked her teacher at the break what her story was, and she told me that this 13-year-old girl had been recruited by a girl at the school and then trafficked from their community to a small town where she was kept in a motel, and the police rescued her and returned her home, and so she was reintegrating. But the way they told me, it was as though girls being recruited from their school was no big deal. And when I spoke to the principal about this young woman and other teachers, they said, in fact, there were recruiters in and around the school all the time, and that this was something that a lot of schools were dealing with and learning how to address. And so that's what started me on this research.
Okay, now I want to take a look then. I want to take us to the documentary, and I warn people these are shocking interviews that you have collected from the Canadian kids.
He found out how many people I'd had sex with and just freaked out. Wouldn't talk to me about it, but just wanted to sue the guys, wanted to put them in jail, rather than looking at, why I would allow men to touch me in that way.
Charlene, shocking reality from a teen who needed her dad.
People are blogging about the book, and they are coming down very hard on parents. And Heather really did need her dad. That's the young woman you saw in the clip. But I have a lot of sympathy for parents because as a parent, your job is to socialize your children into the culture. But parents, like Heather's dad, find themselves out of their depth. I mean, what are you supposed to do when you learn your daughter has thrown a party at your house and has had sex with multiple men who are 3 or 4 times her age? What are you supposed to do when you find your daughter is sending, making and distributing nude photographs of herself? I think parents feel overwhelmed by our culture, and as a result, like Heather said, they're not communicating, and they're either unable to or unwilling to. But what they don't realize, and what I'm hoping parents will begin to do, is to communicate with their daughters, because your daughter is exposed to a hyper-sexualized culture.
When I was about 12, 13, I started recruiting female prostitutes. When I was about 14, 15, I started recruiting females for prostitution. I recruited, I honestly don't remember. More than enough.
So Charlene, the recruiter does not look like the big mean pimp. He can look like the girl next door.
I think that was one of the most shocking and frightening things that I found, that there are girls in your daughter's middle school who could be her best friend, who could potentially also be recruiting her into the sex trade.
And what lessons did you come away from this project with, Charlene?
You know, I think that it's really important for parents to acknowledge, at least acknowledge, that there are sexist, raunchy images virtually everywhere, and that you have a real responsibility to make your daughter a critic of the image-based culture in which we live. So, the next time you're in the supermarket, I tell parents, take a look at, with your daughter, take a look at some of the magazine covers. This month's issue of Vanity Fair has Giselle naked down to her pubic area. Ask your daughter why she looks like she's sexually willing and available. You have to address these things as they come up. Otherwise, your daughter may look at that cover and admire it. If she admires it, she will emulate it. And you don't want her to do that. You want her, the next time she is in a sticky situation with a boy or a boyfriend who says, text me a nude photo, she can say, or give me oral sex, even though all of my friends are watching at this party. And these are things that girls are doing. You want her to be able to say, no, I'm not a porn star, I'm not a stripper, I'm not a prostitute. You want her to have the language to extricate herself.
Charlene Azam, author and documentary filmmaker of Oral Sex is the New Goodnight Kiss. Thank you for bringing us a tough message to listen up and for your important work.
Thank you.
When we return, a mom and dad share their lessons learned when a teenager is making the worst possible choices. Educators and now experts in healing, Ed and Linda Smith, are next.